What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Lorcana Cookout. I know it's been a while. We go through these little hiatus, but we're planning to hit Donald with this podcast, give him his time to shine right after the event. But life happens for all of us. But we're here now. We still want to give him the spotlight because what he did was amazing. Obviously, the way he did it was a great achievement. But we'll get into how our SCG Con, the CCQ in Las Vegas, went for all three of us because we all participated. We'll talk about what everybody's been talking about. Well, last week it's kind of already dying down in a sense, but the return of Ruby Amethyst, and then and we'll just talk about some couple of events that happened, obviously last weekend and this weekend, and we'll just go through that. But welcome to the Lorcana Cookout. So, yeah, let's get into it. I guess we'll just start off. Obviously, we're a week late, but we all participated in the SCG Con Vegas CCQ. We'll talk about how it went. I didn't participate Friday, but I got there super late on Friday. I got there I got to the Airbnb with my buddies at I think I got there like at 1 a.m. I was like awake for 24 hours. I was struggling. I literally put my body through hell that weekend. Like it took me like half a week to recover. That's another reason why we didn't record, because I was just trying to recover from what I did to my body that weekend. But yeah, you guys could talk about how your guys' Friday event went, because that was my Friday event. Trying to kill myself apparently. So.
No, yeah, I feel you, man. Yeah, for me, right now, I don't know if you can hear my voice. I'm recovering myself from a flu. I don't. I think I got it in Vegas, so I've been out the last few days. But I'll do my best to bring the energy. Um, it was a wild weekend for me because I literally just got off of like a 2 week trip to Europe. Literally landed like Tuesday morning, like tested Wednesday, learned that there's like a new meta, and then left Thursday with the Red Saber team. We checked in at the hotel there that was hosting the venue, and I was talking to Donald, and the first and only list I ever had really was RP. It was the very secret, RP list. I felt very lucky to have, and I took it to the Friday 5K, and actually no, it was a 1K. But there was a lot of players. I remember being at least 100 players, so it was a pretty big side event. And we did 7 rounds, and after 7 rounds, I think I finished 4-3, kind of shaking off some rust, trying a new list, trying and learning about a whole new meta. It felt I could tell the list was really strong, um, but I had to make some changes for Saturday. But I remember it was 7 rounds. It was like it was a long day. And by the end of it, I know Donald and Shane had a top forward, so that was a great to see them, perform great on Friday. But that was my Friday. Go ahead, Donald.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on. But yeah, uh, hang out with Eddie on Thursday night. We got some lists together. I've been testing this red purple thing for probably the better part of 3 weeks, and had been kind of trying to hide it as much as possible offline. And the first kind of trial run was the Friday 1K, probably the most overlaid or underlaid like 1K I've ever seen. It was 100 people at $30 a piece, so we were just playing for like, you know, less than a little bit of share of that. But it was fun. Did really well on Friday. Basically went undefeated in Swiss. Went 5-0-2 to get to the fourth seed, and then played another Ruby Amethyst guy in the top eight who had just picked up the deck on Wednesday because he saw it online. And then we split the top four just to get some rest for the actual main event. But it was really kind of a reassuring thing to kind of go into the main event, knowing that the deck was going to work, and that there wasn't going to be any major hangups. And then we got Benihana, so that was a good day.
That Benihana was fire.
Sounds nice. Um, anyways, don't discredit yourself, Donald, because even though it wasn't a big event, you did run it at the Top Choice Gaming event 2 weeks prior, and you also, I think, finished first in Swiss there. You hid the list from Inkdex there too, but you basically went like on two. Did you play the week after that too, or no?
No, I took the week off after, but I gave the list to Ethan. He went like 4-2 at the Hungry Dragon with the same list.
Yeah. So, I mean, you didn't play the week after, but if you count the that weekend and the Friday event, and then we'll get into the Saturday event, you went almost 3 events, literally, or you went 3 events, literally, undefeated, not taking a single loss. It's pretty. What is that? It was like 5 rounds at TCG, and then Top Cut. Did you guys split Top Cut at TCG? I can't remember.
We split top cut, yeah. So it was 402 into a top 8, a top at TCG, 502 into a top 8 at the
SCG.
Friday 1K, yeah, SCG, and then obviously 801 in Swiss, and then the full top 16 bracket
So in like two
on
weeks, you
SCG
went
Con.
like what 16-0, basically. It's pretty impressive with the same list. I mean, probably very
Probably
little
more.
changes, but well,
Probably more than 16. Honestly,
not even counting
it's
his reign of
crazy.
terror on Fight Club. It's pretty crazy, man. But we'll get into that. So Saturday, the SCG, for me, I feel like it went pretty well. I felt very prepared. I felt very comfortable. I kept telling all of my teammates that I was going to win the whole thing. Felt extremely comfortable with my deck choices. Actually, no, I wasn't super happy with every single card in my deck. But it's what I ended up locking in. I ended up taking blue green. A lot of people were starting to say that the deck was dying. I was thinking everyone was crazy as they were saying that, but I mean that's just me. At least everyone around me in my group, and I stopped seeing it as much online too. So I was starting to believe like people really didn't believe in the deck, and I actually only played one mirror, so I guess it kind of was dying for this event. I don't know how many Donald and Eddie faced, but I ended up going. Um, how many rounds was it? It was 9, right? So I ended up going 7-1-1. So I was X1-1. Um, game round 2, I missed ramp 2 matches in a row. Like I think I won the die roll. I went first against Blue Steel, and I pretty much like just destroyed him. Game 1, game 2, I missed ramp. I end up scooping pretty quick because, yeah, I figured we were gonna go to time, so I just scooped. And then game 3, I missed ramp again. I was like, oh my god, I don't mind missing ramp once, but in the same set 2 matches, I'm like, dude, this is like literally just a loss. I was able to squeak out that win. Luckily, my opponent made a misplay. They should have probably won that. But then I went through the rest of the tournament, just beating a bunch of purple steels and purple reds. So I give Donald props because I don't know what he was doing with that deck, but he was making a fool out of everybody. But my only loss, I did take a loss, unfortunately. My only loss was to Edmund Chu. We played a mirror, and he was my only loss of Swiss. And I guess it doesn't feel that bad taking a loss from second place world champ and Nats champion. And then next day, or we ended up finishing that day. Went clubbing with my wife and a couple of friends. Didn't get home till like 3 in the morning, so didn't sleep that night either. And then I go play top 16, and yeah, I played against Purple. And game 1, there's a moment where you're welcome him. I think I mothers him. You're welcome him, and I'm like, all right, he has like a 9 card hand. Like the worst thing here is if he double ramps. The absolute worst thing is if he double t-pulls, and that's exactly what he did. He like double t-pulled, went down to like a 3 card hand. Obviously kept the 3 best cards in his hand, and then ramped to like 9 ink, I think it was. And I was like, all right, this is really bad for me. So I ended up losing that game. And then game 2, I missed turn to ramp. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but that's about it for me. I still think Green Blue's very strong. I haven't been testing since Vegas, but I still think the deck's very strong. I think people are starting to come back on it again a little bit, but if anyone's losing hope on the deck, I wouldn't recommend it because I still think that deck is extremely powerful. But go ahead, Eddie.
Um, well, I don't know. Did you want to talk about your list? Like, is there? Is there anything that
It's pretty
that
stat.
stood out?
Nah, it's a pretty standard list. I know during that time there was discourse because it was funny because there's discourse about whether Green Blue needed Cinderella. Um, I know it got sparked by Edmund Chu LCCC whatever list because he was playing no Cinderella. So when I finally faced Edmund and I saw him play Cinderella, I laughed. I was like, all these non-believers. Like I right away went onto Sailor's chat and I was like, for all you Cindy non-believers, Edmund is playing Cinderella, and I just started laughing. I thought it was funny, but I asked him why he wasn't playing Cinderella, and he was like, I don't know, man. He was like testing purposes. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. But other than that, I mean, I was playing the two max scoops. I think the card's really good. A lot of people are playing it. Um, and I mean, the list is pretty similar. I was playing the two baby prince, debating on going higher on him for the purple steel matchup and the purple red matchup. I feel like if you get that like early shift blowout, like you more than likely just win the game. And then I was debating on going higher on them. Like I said, I was playing the one up band, which that was one of the cards that I regretted taking that day. And I was playing the like 200C. They were fine. I don't think they're very much needed, especially if we're not seeing like dogs or aggro in the meta. But if they are coming back, I mean, those are obviously like two quick slots you can put in. Those are the spooky sites. Don't really want to show my list because honestly, it's a pretty standard list. I mean, I didn't copy it. I ended up like looking and I started seeing like mine and Sailor's list was actually pretty close. I think it was like a three card difference, and it wasn't even like actual cards. It was just like ratios, right? So, yeah, but that's all I got.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. I do agree. I think GB definitely is started strong. People were hesitant like to play it. I think for Vegas, but I think after this weekend it might be a little more popular again. But for me, so after Friday, my only reps were literally were Friday's event for this new set, and this was my second CCQ. I had done Utah, and I remember at Utah I kind of just copied the list and just piloted it freestyle. I told myself I didn't want to do that again, and I wanted to pilot something I felt comfortable with. So it was literally I think 1 a.m. You know me, and scrambling to figure out what to do, and I literally just built this purple steel deck like on my bed with the cards I just happened to bring. I remember one card I really wanted to play more of, but I only found one was Olaf the Helping Hand. I literally found it off some guy who opened up some random packs that day on Friday, and I know Shane he really liked Helping Hand, and I was like, it makes sense. So at least I found one. I'm gonna use the one, and I ended up also making some changes where I felt like the heron wasn't as I guess like important, so I cut the heron out for a Jafar and a Smee. The only reason literally was because I had one Smee and I got a Jafar off of Cookout member James. He had one Jafar on him. I literally added it 5 minutes before the tournament started. So I felt pretty good about this list after testing Friday. I had like four Lexington, which I felt was good in the mirror. I had one Iago, which I felt was great against like RP or Blurple. I had one Elephant good against which I felt was good against the mirror. And after testing RP all day, I was really happy to have two Demona. And main reason why I changed from RP was because I felt more comfortable with the play style of trying to develop the board, play tempo, and then control the board with songs. So I really felt good having the bolts and the strengths on my side, and having played our purple steel a lot last set. I didn't want to cut down on the docks like some other lists were, so I had three docks, three Calhoun. So that's my list, and I started off the tournament with a loss. It was a loss I probably never forget because I remember when being down on the draw game three, and it was a mirror match, and he had like two songs and a bolt. He had like everything to start strong, but I had like three genies to stay in it. I somehow come back game three on the draw and put him in a position where his only out was to top deck the Cobra, and of course he top decks the Cobra, and that gives me my first loss. So I was really shook after that. But the guy I lost to, thankfully, Ended up getting top 16. I forget his name, but I know you know him, Donald.
Yeah, Josh Satterfield. Yeah.
Josh Satterfield. Yeah, that guy was really lucky, and he knows it. But I'm glad I lost to him because he turned out being to be a great player, and he ended up getting top 16, which helped me with my tiebreakers at the end. And then another really big thing, maybe the most fortunate thing for my run the whole day Saturday was round two. I got a bye. I didn't know those could happen in a big tournament like this. Like what, almost 450 players, and I'm the one with the bye. I felt I never I was insane. I asked like three judges like, what do I do? He's like, just take a break. You come back.
Buddy, they happen in the DLCs. You think they're not gonna happen in SCG?
I heard about him, but it's never happened to me. It's like one of those things where it's like, okay, I mean, you take it. I'm a 1-1 now. So then the tournament, I feel like the tournament really started for me, I guess, round three. I went against Blue Still. I 2-1 on the draw. Round four, I go against Green Blue, and I won 2-1 that one on the play. That one did feel kind of close, I remember. And then round five, I got 2-0'd by the mirror on the draw. So by round five, or by the end of round five, I was 3-2, basically facing elimination. And at this point, I was like, man, I'm just gonna keep playing and see what happens. And round six, I went against Darkside Brian. He was on GP. Shout out to him. And that was a pretty close game. I almost lost that one on game three, but I kind of played it perfect. He told me I played it perfect because he had like go to like seal it if I didn't play it perfect. And so I won that one game three on the play. And then round seven, Purple Steel, I win that one 2-1. And then I start going on a run. I go against Green Blue. And this one, I remember being on the draw game three and being like I lose game one, and then I go to game three on the draw. Like I just have to win. And I got kind of lucky and I pulled through. And by this, I'm like, I guess I have a chance to get in because of my tiebreakers was round nine. And I ended up going against Green Purple. And this was the tempo version. It wasn't the Brainiac version. So I managed to actually win that one 2-1 on the play. So I went like four how to go 4-0, facing elimination to pull out the top the top 16. I got really lucky with my tiebreakers. I know there was a lot of other like people in the room that I think were 7-2. And I won with my tiebreakers to make it the top 16. Um, so exhausted. I remember being feeling so dead after 9 rounds. And then we go to day two, and I get paired up with a local, Eddie Romero, part of On the Play. Shout out to him. He had a higher seed than me. I think he was the fourth seed. I was the 13th. But he was on Brainiac GP, and I remember just playing that. I think the way I should have played it was just kind of like aggro and try to control his singers. Ended up winning that one 2-0. It was a pretty fortunate 2-0. I still remember that match. And shout out to Eddie, great competitor. He's always he had to remind me that I haven't beat him in a tournament before. So I told him I was due, and we had a good time. We had a good laughs after the match, and then I got top eight. I made it top eight. At this point, I'm just exhausted. I'm generally just happy to be here because from from being 3-2 and just going on this run, felt amazing to just still keep playing. I always kind of was telling myself like I'm just having too much fun. I'm gonna keep playing till the party ends, till they kick me out. And finally came to Justin to kick me out of the party because he too owed me. He was on Blurple. My first time against Blurple this meta. They said Blurple was dead. At least some of the people I talked to before the match, they said Blurple was dead and they said not to worry about it. That Purple still actually isn't unfavored anymore. Well, I felt pretty unfavored on the draw. And Justin, I remember, just had like everything. He had like all the Elsas. He had the Bells. I mean, yeah, he just had all the Elsas and the Hades. I really didn't have a chance. I feel like he played it really cleanly. Great player, shout out to him. Um, I know he told me he was like a former Magic Pro player, and he's just a gamer. He knows a lot, and respect, definitely respect to him. And I know Donald will talk about what he did next, but yeah, I just felt really fortunate. I went 8-3 that weekend. I got top eight. Um, you know, um, my first, I guess, major top in this game, and I feel like it took a lot of just grit, luck, and just focus, and it was definitely good times, and yeah, I was just having fun. And I think that was the most important thing. Piloting a deck, I knew how to pilot too. So yeah, that was my run. Now
Go
time
ahead,
for the
champ.
man, the
Go
myth.
go,
Yeah,
go
the man,
ahead,
the myth,
champ.
the legend.
Yeah, no, I think Eddie had a great run. You know, it was one of those where he came with a lot of practice and just took his natural abilities to the top. Uh, so I kind of agree with Caesar about the whole meta. I think the blue green deck is actually still really strong. The real problem is that the blue green deck, I think in general, has a little bit of a fail rate. Just because any Sapphire deck that needs to ramp is gonna miss occasionally, and then when it doesn't hit the Cindy on turn three, it feels a little bit less powerful. And so a lot of the purple steel decks were teching to beat the blue green decks a little bit more, trying to go under them, and then the green purple decks were, I think, still relevant enough that they kind of kept the blue decks a little bit on the downswing. So I think the Vegas meta kind of just lined up perfectly for red purple, kind of unexpectedly, where you played a lot of kind of purple mirror matches and didn't have to worry so much about the blue decks. And that's kind of where exactly I wanted to be. So, um, like coming out of the Friday event, seeing like red purple being played at like a 10% rate was a lot more than I was expecting. Um, but I think it was just a matter of a lot of people picking up the lists from like Lorcana Villain and from Aiden from LCCC, and just trying to adapt it to their play style, which is why I think that Caesar probably beat a lot of the red purples is because the decks weren't tuned the right way to take advantage of some of the matchups. But anyways, having finished pretty well the day before, I felt pretty confident going into Saturday. I didn't change anything from the list. Kind of kept the exact 60, and then played in round one against a Vegas local. I was on purple steel, was on the draw, and I got completely high rolled in game one. It felt awful. He went like Hades into a dock, into double strength, into a bolt, and I went from like being okay on the board to like completely getting run over. And even then, like I still was able to scrap my way back in and almost came back in the game. I was able to. They never came back two Diablos to keep him at 18, and then he had a card in hand and then top decked a Cobra. So that was not a great start to the tournament, but I was able to come back, win that round 2-1. Won the second round against Blurple on the play 2-0. Played against an Amber Steel deck, another Vegas local. Won the die roll, won both games on the play. Got hit by the nuts on the draw, where he went Aurora into Tiana, into Tiana, into Pluto, and I just packed it up at that point. Kind of going from there, I played another purple steel deck in round four. 2-1 that on the draw, purple steel in round five, 2-0 that on the play. And then in round six, I paired up against Patrick from the Lorcana duo, and he was playing kind of a Mo Tempo style GP deck. Um, Won the die roll, and then game one, I was able to demona him before he was able to do anything. And then game two, he shifted a Peter Pan combo on me. And then game three was kind of a grindy thing where I had a really bad opener with like three horsemen that I couldn't play. And so I ran out like a Palace Guard and two Diablos, the 0-1 Diablos on turn two. And because he was afraid of how fast I was questing, he just hard cast Malicious Mean and Scary, gave me two cards that I could ink, and then kind of let me actually play the game. So that was actually a spot where the deck could have bricked, but got away with a little bit of luck there because he felt a little bit too much pressure. So we'll start the tournament 6-0. At that point, we're kind of talking about what we should do, kind of moving forward. I think there were six undefeateds at that point. I was like talking about should I keep playing to get like the higher seed? Should I just draw to get in the top cut? But I had to win round seven first, and so I got paired up against Aaron Prentice. He goes by ID Slime, and really good player. He was on Dogs. I got the list from Diego, and luckily I won the die roll. because I won both games on the play and lost the one on the draw because he dropped a Chromacon on me way too early. And that's kind of how the matchup goes. So kind of lucky there. Now I'm 7-0. There's 3 undefeateds left. And the question is, do you play for the top seed or do you just kind of draw and get like second or third, fourth seed? One of us is going to get paired down anyway, so one of us would have to play. And I was unfortunately or fortunately the one that got paired down. Played a local guy from I think Orange County, but he plays on a Collector's Lounge. He was playing a GP deck as well. Lost the first game on the draw to I think double go-go plus Mother Knows Best on the go-go. So that was fun. But then game 3, I knew he had the go-go in hand. And he was trying to bait me into a quest that he could challenge and hit the lore to win. And so I just kept keeping his evasives off the board and questing with my evasives over the course of like 3 turns so that he could never actually go me for the win. So I was able to pull that one off, get to 8-0, lock in the top seed going into the top cut. The top cut on Sunday was kind of a weird one because my top 16 match was against someone I knew from the Lorcana Lounge, which is where I did a lot of my testing. So he had my like full 60 and knew my list like exactly, which was unfortunate because we all kind of assumed it was going to be open deck list, and then we never actually got the deck lists. So that was kind of a slight disadvantage. But again, luckily because I was top seed, I got to be on the play. Won both games on the play, lost the one on the draw. In game 3, I think I managed to kill 2 Cobras with they never came back, and that felt really good. But yeah, nothing really dramatic. It was just kind of just playing out our hands, and eventually whoever had like a little bit more card draw ended up winning. My top 8 match was kind of a little bit controversial. I think some people caught wind that my opponent actually conceded the match to me. The story behind that is that he's also a Lorcana Lounger and a friend of mine, Ryan Miles. He actually came to Vegas intentionally to play the Riftbound 10K and just kind of was doing the Lorcana thing a little bit for fun and managed to top cut and win his top 16 round. So he had actually sat down for his Riftbound first round and gotten essentially a free win because his opponent didn't show up. And so our top 8 match was going to go at about the same time as his second round. And since he was on the draw and he didn't really want to lose a round in his Riftbound tournament, he ended up deciding to just concede and play Riftbound, which ended up working out for him because he ended up top 4 in that event too. So he crushed the weekend. But it was nice of him and really helpful for me not to have to play out another round of Lorcana there. In the top 4, we got paired against Eddie's knockout opponent, Justin, on Blurple. Same thing, being on the play was super helpful. In game 1, I just rushed out with a 1-2-3 curve, double Diablos on turn 4, and he just didn't have anything to deal with that. We basically scooped it up on turn 5. Game 2 on the draw was a little bit more interesting. He was able to play a turn 3 Iago on me, and so that kind of halted a lot of the questing. I eventually was able to whittle it down with some evasives, like I think an Elsa and some Cheshire Cat damage. So once that got off the board, it was a little bit more even. We traded some cards here and there. Eventually, he demonas me, and I demona him back. And somehow I get an evasive advantage, and then grind out a win through like a couple of libraries. I think I had a turn where I played a library, moved a horseman onto the library, and then ran it into his Demona to draw a card. And then because he had nothing else on the board, he couldn't clear the library in time, and that ticked up for like 2 or 3 extra lore that ended up being the difference in the game. And then the finals match was against another guy who apparently finished second at the Utah CCQ, and had unfortunately also finished second in this one. He was also playing RP, but he had a list with 3 Hercules and 3 Hades, as well as like magical maneuvers for his Iago effect. And I had a lot more evasives than him, and so being on the play and knowing kind of what was in our lists, I figured I had an advantage because as long as I could establish an evasive early, um, particularly like the Peter Pan or the Iagos, he'd have a lot of trouble taking care of it. And so game one, I just curved out, hit a Demona on turn 6, and then just wiped his board. And so that wasn't really a fair matchup in that regard. And then game two, he mulls 7. Um, he misses his 1 drop, and his 2 drop is a Lumiere, and that's going up against my Tinkerbell and my Diablo, and so he doesn't have anything to contest the board. And then eventually, because I have more characters on board, I get a Demona that ends up, doing more than he can handle. I get more bases on board, and then he just doesn't have enough kind of material to fight back. So that was the run. Went undefeated again through the whole tournament. Went undefeated the whole weekend. Was pretty amazing. But I think the getting the Continentals invite, was really nice because it was the only big event that I was going to be able to play in set 10 because I wasn't going to go to DLC Richmond. Wasn't going to go to Charlie's, and and I really liked the deck, and so I really wanted to do well with it. So it was nice to actually pull it off.
Yeah, I told you, man. Like this was like the coming out party for your list. I know you kept it like on a hush and a lot of testing, a lot of reps. What's funny is I think the reaction. Some people say, "Oh, RP, where did RP come from?" Like no one, like some people really didn't even have it on their radar, and then you just go like I don't know, like undefeated, like basically the whole weekend. And I remember telling you, man, like this was your day, and it was amazing to see you just pull it off because it definitely felt like the right call, the right list. Like even myself, like I piloted it. I was really fortunate to pilot it before most people did, and it's not easy to play. It was not my play style, and I think when people try to play your list, like they're not gonna know how to play it the way you do. Like I was telling people, like there's RP and then there's Donald and RP. Donald and RP is goaded. Like I you know that list in and out like better than I think anyone, and even all the people who've talked about it, trying to understand it. Like no one really understands it, I think, the way you do, and it shows. You know, you,
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of vibes that goes into playing the deck. Like you got to just like feel out what people are going to do and like how they're going to react, and so you just kind of make it awkward as much as possible. That's kind of how I think about the deck. Um, but yeah, like I think the downside to the weekend was because SCG Con they didn't publish the lists for the Friday event, and they didn't publish all the lists for the main event either. And so some of the narrative kind of got lost. It's like, oh, RP came out of nowhere, but like it top eighted the Friday event. Like 4 lists hit the top 8, and then like 3 lists hit the top 16 on the main event. And I also went undefeated in both days, and so like people didn't know that for the most part. Um, so I think that accomplishment was a little bit diminished, but regardless, I think it's still a fun story.
Yeah, no. Well, I haven't had the chance to tell you, even though I am sad that I was not able to win the whole thing myself. I am glad that you were able to win the whole thing, Donald. Congratulations. I have not been able to tell you, but I'm glad to finally see you show up at a big event. I've always thought you were an amazing player, and I know you've always came short, just a tad bit short in a few DLCs. So I'm glad to see you got your Continentals invite and finally got your showing at a big event. Super happy for you. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
But what's it called? Yeah, I was kind of upset about the top 16 thing because, well, one, like not showing that I made top 16, obviously with the deck list, but two, because like you watch everybody else's like meta review and they're like, well, where's blue green? I'm like, well, there's 3 of them in the top 16. It's just they weren't shown, So
yeah.
so I mean, there was showing last weekend of blue green. It just wasn't shown. I mean, they were top 16, which I guess top eight is more important. But it's like you said. I think Edmund. I think from what I talked to him, I think he did say he got quite a bit unlucky, and then I got unlucky. So it just happened, to be the blue thing that tends to happen sometimes. It's unfortunate. That's why I do think at that tournament I wasn't playing one jump, but I do think like one jump is I think the reason why you don't play one jump as much in blue green is because I think the deck feels kind of fine if you miss ramp on turn 2 because you can like vision into sail, and then as long as you get the turn 2 ramp on turn 3, it isn't as bad. But then putting in that one jump also increases your odds of seeing turn 2 ramp by turn 3. So I mean, I don't know, it just sucks wasting a slot on that, but it's so critical that you do see the turn 2 ramp by, obviously you want to see it by turn 2, but if you don't, seeing it by turn 3 is pretty critical too, because I think on my round 2 when I missed turn 2 ramp on turn 3, I developed on 1, visioned on 2, developed on 3 again, and I still did not see the turn 2 ramp. And then on my top 8 match or my top 16 match, I developed on 1 and visioned on 2, and I still didn't see my turn 2 ramp by turn 3. So it's like, dude, like I mulligan 7. Actually, no, that one I didn't mulligan 7. I mulligan 5. And then I saw an extra 7 cards, technically 8 because you put some at the, like the math of putting the other in the bottom, so technically you don't draw that. But yeah, it was 7. So I saw 7, and I was on the draw, so I technically saw an extra card too, and I still like missed the turn to ramp. It's like, it's crazy. But yeah, I think I wanted to comment on what you said, Donald, with the green blue. What you said, it's like kind of, a lot of people say that it loses to itself. I actually don't agree with that sentiment. Like I hear a lot of people keep saying it, and I don't feel like the deck loses to itself as much. Obviously, it has the blue issue, which is if you miss turn to ramp. But other than that, like I think I'm fine if I don't see Clarabelle for a few turns. Like I'm fine if I don't see. Obviously, if I don't see it through the whole game, yeah, I'm gonna lose. Like I mean, it's one of my key cards. I think almost any deck that doesn't see their key card is gonna lose. But like if I don't see it for the first few turns, I think I'm fine. If I don't see the board wipe within, like I think I won some games without even casting the board wipe. Like I think the deck is really strong to the point where you don't need to be seeing that. And then like what you said about it missing Cindy on turn 3, I actually think like against Purple Steel and against Blurple, I think like most purple decks, especially like the Steel decks, going Donald on 3 is way better than Cindy. Because the thing is, like against Blue Steel, especially like if you go Donald on 3, they can't out your Donald. They can't do the like if they do their Cindy, they can't Zeus. I forgot what the actual one's called, but the baby Zeus, they can't Zeus your 4-drop, so then it allows you to either sing back like a You're Welcome or Mothers. And then same thing like with Blurple, unless they go like the curve of Basil or 1-drop, 4-drop Elsa, they also can't kill your Donald. Like your Donald's a lot more resilient, and then that means your Singer gets to stick on board. And like the Cindy is good there for like the extra nuts, but the Donald is better for the more, I guess, safer line in a sense. So the way I would put it is Cindy's better for the nuts, and Donald's better for the just being like playing it safe and stuff. Like a lot of times, what I will do is like I'll drop the Donald then the Cindy if I have them both. Just because then Donald keeps you with an extra hand, and then you have an extra hand to pitch with your Cindy in case you have like important cards in your hand. And Cindy, like sometimes you have to pick between an important card to throw into your inkwell for the combo. And then like what you're saying about the purple red and the purple steel, like I think the line with them is also, I think like a lot of people, one, I also don't think people are playing purple red as good as you. That's kind of what I kept telling everybody. Like, dude, they're not playing it like Donald. Like, if I'm facing Donald as purple red, yeah, I'm scared. But if I'm playing anyone else on purple red, like, I'm not that scared. Like, I feel like the best line against them is like triple ramping, playing. So like turn 2 ramp, turn 3 ramp again, play Baby Prince, and then shift the Prince. Like, it's almost impossible for them to do anything. I think purple steel has no shot or like no fight against that. Purple red does by playing library in a sense, but most of the lists are playing like 2 to 3. I haven't really seen many on 4, so it kind of helps that cause for us too. But I think people are just also playing the matchup wrong too. So I think it goes on both ends, right? Like I think but then some lists aren't going as fast as you, right, Donald? Like purple red.
Yeah, I think a lot of lists are playing Hades, and I think Hades is the card that's really bad in the blue-green matchup.
Yeah, Hades is terrible in blue green. Like you don't want to be playing that card. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my one like crusade is to get people to stop playing Hades. Like once you stop playing Hades, the deck goes faster.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was playing because I think I was testing with Ethan this weekend, and I think he was still playing your list, and the deck does feel fine. I mean, it feels good. I just it's not my play style either. Like, I think there's only two decks I'm heavily considering. I am going to Richmond, so I think there's two decks that I'm heavily considering. It's definitely blue green, and the only other contender is Blurple. I do think Blurple is feeling really strong. Like I think the deck is really strong in my opinion. It's
Yeah,
also like one of my
I'm a
play
big fan
styles.
of
So
blue green. Yeah, I'm a big fan of blue green. I think it's just I think it's the most powerful deck in the format.
yeah,
It's just a matter of like uh, doing what it wants to do every game. I think that's
Yeah,
the hardest part. I
the
wouldn't say it's like fail rated
consistency.
per se, but it's just like you know doing enough to win against certain matchups.
yeah. I
Um,
think I think my hardest thing with, like, let's say if I take it to Richmond, would be like my prediction on the meta being correct. Because if I'm not expecting no blue green, like Ben's coming out of my deck 100% because that card's basically useless. So I gotta make that call, right? Like that's an extra spot I can use for one of the matchups that I'm scared of. But if I don't play Ben and then I run into a bunch of blue greens, like more than likely my tournament's gonna be lost. Another thing is like if I'm not expecting any dogs or any like aggro, like super low to the ground, then I can save my spots on Under the Sea and not play any Under the Seas. And there you go. That's another uninkable card that I can save. And there's a lot of things. So I think blue green is really strong, but it's just like it goes back into that thing that people say is like you got to take the right deck for that day. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like if I could predict the meta perfect and then take like a blue green deck to perfectly predict that meta for that let's say Richmond event, like I think it will have like a really good shot at winning the event. So as long as you don't get unlucky, of course, with the blue curse, of missing turn 2 ramp. So, but
Let me just say, like with blue green, like I went against it, like on Friday and Saturday, and I was fortunate to beat it. Like I think like 4 times. And it's not in those matches were like my scariest matches. All went to game 3, and it does take basically understanding the way to beat it is you have to like cut out their draw engine. If it's the Donald, like when I was an RP, my hunts, my headless horseman wanted to hit the Donald. On purple still, I wanted to have my singers ready to out either Donald or Clarabelle. Um, it's just one of those decks that like when it has everything, you just lose. I remember, I think against green blue on the draw, they would if they have like turn 3 Philip, turn 4 shift Clarabelle, seeing you're welcome, and then turn 5 shift MMS shift Prince Philip. Like they did that to me like I think twice over the weekend, and when they have the nuts, you just auto win, and I think that's the power of that deck. Where if you have everything, you just auto win. But a lot of times it's just not consistent. And I went against some pretty good green blue players at the end of the Saturday, and they just run out of gas. You just really need to have the right cards at the right time. And obviously there's a skill gap. I think a great green blue player can probably minimize the inconsistency of the deck to the best of their ability, but still the deck in itself just doesn't have that like consistent like like draw engine, and that's why it's balanced. That's why it's not the best deck in the unquestionable tier 0 deck, or else everyone would be playing it, right? Um,
I don't know. I feel pretty draw consistent when I slam two Donalds. So I mean,
yeah, if you go
I
Donald
don't.
Donald, that's
I
that's
mean, I don't
really
know. I
good,
mean, it's
honestly.
very likely to have double Donald or like Cindy. That's why I still think Cindy belongs in the blue green decks because like I was literally playing a
Hmm.
game on Lorcanito like last week or earlier this week where I like no, I think it was at when I was testing with Ethan and Adam this weekend. Um, I like Cindy'd, and I had another Cindy, and I had two Cindy's, and I drew while the card I pitched in my hand was Booty Cheeks, and then I drew a Teeple, and I obviously pitched that again for my second trigger, and then I drew into my Clarabelle. I'm like, all right, if I didn't play Cindy, these two cards would have went into my Inkwell 2 turns later, and it would have took me 2 more turns to find my Clarabelle. I'm like, yeah, and again, like you're saying with the purple steel list, like I Donald on 3. Like I get what you're saying. Like you got to out that. But you got to think about how many. You need to have 5 characters on board to strength my Donald, or you need to have hardcast Zeus and then Sing strength to kill my Donald. Like that's a lot.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, but
I,
I'll do
I
that
think
if I
I
have
think
to.
that I think no, that's understandable. But that also with me not reacting to your board, which is why I think lists that are not playing mothers are wrong because like it gives me another card to interact with your board by that turn. Because at that point, I could just keep my Donald safe because I know that's what you needed out, and I can just hardcast your welcome instead of singing it and take away your singer, or I could hardcast mothers and keep my threat on my board. But then another thing, like you said, with the I don't know why that guy did that, but what are you gonna do if I because you got to go wide to sing strength, right? To out my, because you're assuming I'm gonna play Clarabelle or whatever. You got to go wide, so then that gives me a perfect Prince line, Prince, whatever Philip line. So what are you gonna do when you have 4 characters on board to sing your strength? They all get wiped, and now I have a 5/5 on board. Like it's so a 5 or a 6/6. I don't even know what it is. That quest for 3 and it's evasive. Like even if I
Eh,
don't have a draw engine after that, like it's gonna take you a while to deal with that threat. You get what I'm saying? Which is why I'm
mhm.
saying like that, like maximizing on that line or seeing that that's your line against like the purple red and the purple steel deck is so crucial because like I said, I can be left with 1 card in my hand or no cards in my hand after I do that Prince Philip combo on you. Like it's gonna take you a while to out that combo, so or that character. So it's gonna give me another 2 or 3 extra draws to find, let's say, my draw engine in a sense. So and I think another thing people aren't doing, which I realized in a match, I forgot who I was playing against, is like when you slam Donald, like it is kind of like a double edged sword for you in the purple steel matchup. So at a certain point, you need to let your Donald die, so the purple steel stops getting closer to their stuff. Right? I forgot there was a match I was playing, and I was telling Dre, I was like, dude, I lost this match, and I can't think of what I did wrong. Like I shouldn't have lost, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Where I messed up is I you're welcome you again when I oh yeah he was testing purple steel. I you're welcome you again when I should have you're welcome my own Donald and gave myself that 2 draw, and then you would have not been getting that extra draw every time. So like you sometimes have to do those lines. Like the Donald's good, but at certain times like it's gonna bite you in the butt, especially I would say mainly just in like the purple steel matchup. So I mean people just need to realize that stuff, right? So like I said, I think the deck's really good. I mean it's the deck I've been putting the most time to this set, but I think I'm gonna test Zerpo for a little bit too. But enough about my blue green spiel. um, but anyways, let's talk about your Donald, your journey with the deck.
Yeah,
How did you
the
make the Donald
long-winded
deck?
yeah, the long-winded story of the return of RP. Um, yeah, so I kind of wanted to tell the story because I think it's interesting. You know, it's not often that someone gets an opportunity to like essentially almost make a deck from scratch and bring it out in a big tournament and win the tournament. Like that doesn't happen that often. Um, and like because we didn't get to see any of the streams, because all the content tends to be kind of, oh, this is the deck. How do you play it? What do you do to alter it? You lose out on the kind of like the interpersonal stuff that goes into building a deck and coming up with the ideas. Um, but it all starts kind of the day after we got back from Milwaukee. It was kind of like one of those rough weekends where nothing went the way you really wanted it to go. It was a fun weekend, but I didn't make day two. I lost a winning in round 8 to probably the worst Blurple matchup you can possibly get, which is like an aggro Chromacon deck. And I did okay in the Affinity side event, but the Affinity side event was just like just for fun. So I was kind of burnt out. I wanted to come home, just relax for a little bit. And then I jump on the Discord. I look in the RP thread, and one of the guys that I respect a lot, Juancho Morales. He's brothers with Justin Morales. He tests a ton on Lorcanito. Probably gets like 3 or 4 accounts into the top like 25. And he's always been someone who's like I've trusted to build decks, and he came up with this list that was just this like early scratch of RP, but it was playing uh, the 1 cost Diablo, it was playing the 2 cost Diablo, it was playing Headless Horseman, it was playing Demona, and he's like, "I'm 9-1 right now. This deck feels pretty good." And so I throw something together. At the time, we were playing like Maui Sharks. I was trying out like Be King Undisputed. I was trying out this like song package with power lines and Second Star to the Right, just kind of doing what you were doing in set 9, but adding in this like Horseman Demona package in the mid game. And it was okay. But what I recognized kind of in the first day of testing was that like the 2 cost Diablo was busted because it was like Smee on steroids. Like people compare it to Smee as it because uninkable version of Smee, but because it doesn't get the damage on it at the end of the turn, if it never dies, it's questing for like 8 lore. And especially in the early days of like this whisper testing, a lot of decks were slower. They weren't really contesting the board that easily, and so you were getting away with a lot of questing with it. And then the second part that really stood out was that the Headless Horseman into Demona was just insane. Um, like when Whisper's spoilers were first announced, people were really high on Demona. It was like, oh, this card exerts your opponent's entire board. You get to draw 3 cards. This is going to be nuts. And then people started playing with it, and it was like, I'm letting my opponent draw a card or two. Um, when I exert the board, I can't really trade anything because I don't have anything that trades that well. Or I'm clearing the board, but I'm still left with this Demona, and it's only a 5/6 that quests for 2. And so you weren't really establishing anything with it that felt like incredibly good. And so a lot of people were cutting it from the purple steel decks. Early on, like there was a podcast with LD and Artifacts where Artifacts is like, Demona is not as good as I thought it was. It's a bad card. We're not playing in purple, like yada yada yada. And what I recognized early on was that the reason why Demona felt bad for most decks was that Demona's is a symmetric effect for most decks. Like when you play in purple steel, your 2 drop is trading for their 2 drop, your 3 drop is trading for their 3 drop, your 4 drop is trading with their 4 drop. And so at the end of that, you get an even board, even cards, and a 5/6 to, Demona. What red purple does is the second ability on Headless Horseman gives all of your guys a buff once you banish a character. And so all you would have to do is take your Headless Horseman and trade it with their 1 drop, or essentially eat their 1 drop so you get a buff. Your 3 drop then trades with their 2 drop and you get a buff. Your 4 drop trades with their 5 drop and you get a buff. And then your Diablo then eats their, whatever's left over, you can get a free card out of it. And you've refilled your hand with the Demona. And so you were essentially getting a Sisu effect with a dock effect in the same card. And when you thought of Demona in that way, like that was essentially the way to break the card and why the deck was as good as it was. And so from those 2 revelations that we had a really good aggressive quester on turn 2 and this kind of broken combo on turn 5 and 6, that's when we started kind of crafting the deck to be this tempo build that was like completely different from anything that had been seen in the Fabled meta, and anything that anyone was doing kind of in this early Whisper testing. And that first week of testing went so well that uh, between like the 4 or 5 guys that were actually testing the deck, and that would be like Juancho Morales, me, Raymond, and El Raytheon. I think we're probably the biggest people like working on the deck. We were kind of comprising 4 of the top 10 on the Lorcana ladder board when it first got released. Juancho and I were first and second. In the first week, we were kind of jostling for first. So we knew we had something like really, really, really good. But it wasn't showing up in some of the early tournaments. It wasn't really showing up in the meta share. And so it was just something that ended up being kind of like this inside joke secret kind of thing that we're like building this S tier deck kind of outside of the public eye. None of the podcasts were talking about it. And then at some point, like Tiago got the list from Raymond and was testing it online. And so we knew it was like getting around. Um, but no one was willing to pull the trigger on it at a big tournament yet. And so I brought it to the top choice event. At least like this was version 1.5 of the list, where we were still playing like Maleficent Dragons and and more of a standard curve deck instead of a lot of the evasives. So it was like on 4 Sisus at the time, um, and obviously I did really well at that tournament. And I told Phil, just delete the deck list, don't let it get out. I'm saving this for Vegas. Kind of a joke, but like kind of like if no one's gonna see the deck, it's not gonna get picked up by any of the big content creators. It's not gonna get listed anywhere, and so people aren't gonna like try to build the structure of the deck in a way that we think is the best way. And so that's kind of bore out. When you look at kind of the content creators from that first weekend, people were like looking at Purple Steel from the CCQ in Utrecht. People even looked at uh, Patrick Crosby's like Amber Steel list that finished second in the tournament, but no one picked up on the fact that like Red Purple was back. No one picked up on the fact that like Red Purple had won the event. And the big deck that came out of that weekend was Mo's GP deck because it had gone undefeated at the Sharp Gaming tournament the same weekend, and he like pushed it on Twitter and kind of pushed people to play it. And so by the time the second week came around, Mo's GP deck essentially was kind of the hot deck of the week, and it was winning the Collectors Expo tournament down in Dallas on both like the Saturday and the Sunday event, and doing really well and kind of keeping Blue Steel down. And so you kind of get a sense of like where people were going with the meta. And again, no one was playing the red purple deck. It was starting to get out a little bit. I think SLTC had picked up on the fact that it was doing well online, and they were kind of building a version on the side. That version got to Garrick, who did well with it in the tournament, and that got published and picked up by the Goons. And then Baker, Lorcana Villain, also had a similar list and ended up playing it at the LCCC. At the same time, the 10-year-old Aiden, his dad had picked up an early version of one of my lists from 20 Lore and kind of adapted it for them to play in the LCCC. And that showed up on stream the week before Vegas. And that's where it started taking off on Twitter. The other part that made it a little bit more popular going into the tournament was that the Lorcana meta report showed that Red Purple was like the second best deck in high competitive. And again, like people who are playing Red Purple comprise probably 5 of the top 15. And so the deck was there, but it was kind of like inside secret where it wasn't visible and no one trusted the data. But obviously, since it showed up on stream, people were interested in it. They took lists from Baker's list. They took Aiden's list. They kind of made some adjustments. But those lists were essentially kind of 2 weeks behind where we were with the list, kind of working in secret. And so where my list kind of comes in is that after the TCG event, I kind of took it back to the Lorcana Lounge, which is like another Discord group that I'm a part of, and was workshopping with a couple of guys in the Lorcana Lounge, Dave J and Dickerson, who've been like Red Purple guys like forever. And they did a lot of testing. They added some ideas. We made some adjustments. A lot of the big things that came out of that were the inclusion of the David Xanatos early on, and then the Ursula Vanessa's kind of later on. And I made the adjustment to go more of an evasive, aggressive route with the Timothy Q Mouse and the Peter Pans. And then I was always an anti-Hades person, and so basically just convinced everyone just to stop playing Hades. And so I think those were the kind of big things that we held back, that most of the public lists were still toying with. And so there was this kind of this joke that was going on, was that this deck is too good to be irrelevant in the meta. It's too good to just be like a 2% meta share, that the deck doesn't exist. and just someone has to win with it. And so there was this thing on the 20 Lord thread where it was like someone's got to win with it eventually. And I was telling people, just hold on, let me take it to Vegas, maybe we'll get a good result. And even one of the guys who has actually published a Metafy now was like, all right, I'll hold my list until Vegas so that you can kind of work in secret for a little bit longer. And so while it was unexpected to some degree, it's still kind of something that we were trying to push for. And that's kind of how we got to where we did with the list. Um, but the big thing was that recognizing that Ruby Amethyst needed to be a tempo deck rather than a control deck. That was kind of the light bulb moment that snowballed the rest of the development. And then we just kept distilling that down and down, taking out all the cards that didn't quest for a lot, weren't really aggressive to the board, weren't awkward to deal with, until we got to essentially a 60 list that just really pushed the envelope in terms of how fast you could get on the board and how sticky you could be staying on the board. While at the same time, like being resilient to a lot of the removal and still having a late game kind of engine through the Dumbos that could grind you out matches where you fell behind. So, um, it's kind of fun story. It's just like one of those things where uh, instead of getting lists from pros, getting lists from content creators, it was really kind of an organic thing that came out of the community. Came out of a lot of people just brainstorming, and that's really the fun thing about really big meta shifts like a brand new set.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting. I know we were talking about it a little bit in when you won TCG, and I was telling you I was really surprised with how your deck was playing out, but I finally got to actually play it. Like I said, I just I just when I'm bored testing, especially like with my teammates, I'm like I'll just like take their deck. I'm like, let me just play your deck. So I played Ethan's, honestly, like the David Zanato. I was like wondering why I was in there, and then like I played it like against him. He was playing purple, and I was like, oh, this is why I tier. Like I crashed like two of my Alsas into his Demona, and I just drew two, and then like I crashed something else into something else, and I just drew another card, and I'm like, all right, you just lost your whole board, and I just regained my whole hand. That's nice. But it's funny that you said about the Demona thing. Like, I really wish this podcast became a little popular because, like, um, I was like one of the people that were, and it was funny. I was like watching every other podcast, and I was like one of the people that kept saying like, "Dude, Demona is not that good." Like, she came out like you said, and people were hyping her up, and I'm like, I don't think she's that good. And I know James was calling me crazy. I think I forgot who else was calling me crazy, and I didn't even want to. I'm not one to be on Discords and stuff because I'm sure I would have started a riot going in Discords and saying like Demona's not that good. And for the same reason, like you said, like I said it on our podcast. I think whatever episode it was, I'm like, dude, Demona's not good because you're gonna one the big downside of your opponent drawing the cards, and two, because people were talking about putting it in Blurple, putting in Purple Steel, and I did say like I think I said like the two best colors it will probably strive in is in Purple Steel and in Purple Red because at least in those decks like you at least go up curve to have a board so when you do Demona like Demona actually her main effect actually does something. But like you said in Purple Red it just it amplifies your Headless Horseman other effect way better. So I 100% see it being 100 times more better in there than in Purple Steel because like you said at that point you can start up trading instead of like doing same amount of trades you start up trading your board because that's another thing I said like even after you Demona in a Purple Steel like you guys both lose your board so what's the point of that, right? Like it still ends up feeling bad because you outed the whole board, but you also outed your own whole board. So it's like it's kind of like a man moment, I guess. But yeah, I just wish the podcast became a little bit more popular because that's something we were talking about it earlier in the set, and I started laughing because then, like you said, the artifacts went on and they started saying like, "Oh yeah, Demona's bad," and I like went on to my chat with a bunch of these guys, and I was like, "Hey, you guys see Artifacts episode? They found out that Demona's bad. Like now they're saying it, and people are gonna start being like, "Oh yeah, Demona's bad." I'm like, how funny, but yeah, it's pretty cool, but um Yeah, Donald, like, um, once again, like I was happy for you because you were saying like I'm gonna keep this secret and I'm gonna take it to. I mean, I know you yourself because we asked you for the list and you're kind of like you did give it to us, but you were also like, yeah, just keep it on the real low because I really do want to take this to Vegas, and I feel like I think I asked you myself. I said, you really think you'll have a good shot with this deck in Vegas? And you're like, yeah, I think I can go far with it in Vegas. So glad to see that you put your trust in this deck and kept going forward with it, and you got there. So
Yeah, I'll say yeah, I can't imagine that feeling, Donald. You're like living the dream. Honestly, it's like you make a list and then you go undefeated with it in a huge tournament. You got your invite to Nats, and then the next day everyone's talking about your list. Like everyone, you couldn't like everyone had your list. I remember people were asking me about your list, like in the middle of your finals event. I was like, just wait like 4 hours, it'll be everywhere. And it really was. And it I've I remember last time we had like a big victory like this was with Dre when he won like a PPG event with his green yellow list. Like he shaped the meta with that list, and then I see it again with you shaping the meta with your RP list in this set. And it's just astounding to have, yeah, I guess such great deck builders, literally, like in our own like testing circles, like shaping the meta in that affects the whole world. Like this, and we could maybe now transition to a little bit about this weekend. And we definitely saw a lot of people try to play your list. They try to be like Donald the best they could to go undefeated. But I don't, like I said, I think we keep saying not everyone is you when they play this list, and some people made changes, right? They try to adapt a little bit. Everyone likes to add their twist, and I guess it is a little funny when you talk about like taking credit for making a list and taking because it is a collaborative effort, right? I really do admire how you pay respects to the Choiler Pro community, and I do see the collaboration in that RP community. It is a very like a loyal community, the RP community, and it's now, yeah, there's like a Metafy for it, and we see like even Zan's crew, they were testing it, um, and like on the video, I know what else like yeah, it's made a lot of noise. It made a lot of noise this last week, and I think it's kind of funny to people say now that it's like kind of falling off. And I think a big reason why it did good was because GP was present in Vegas, maybe more GP than what we saw this weekend. And it's funny to see how, right, and how GP I think maybe is an indicator of the meta. Like that's one of the few decks that if it's relevant, some decks are better at certain weeks. I think that's like a note I made now after hearing the story. Um, but if we know GP's like, so when is GP good? It's when like purple's popular, right? It's when maybe purple's. I mean, well,
when
purple
blue
still is
when
not
blue
a good
decks are
matchup,
popular.
Yeah, blue
right?
steel and blue
Yeah,
green. Yeah,
yeah.
Right. So that's kind of like that's maybe something we'll take for Richmond, right? How popular is blue? If blue's popular, then GP will be out there, and if GP's out there, then RP maybe will be out
Yeah,
there.
that's green purple, which I ended up not facing any. Was a reason why I considered putting in the two under the seas into my blue green list because it's like one of the easiest ways for us to deal with or not an easy, but another way to deal with like the Webby. So I was kind of going with that deck in mind. But I think what Donald said was best. I think the purple red had a great showing that weekend because I think it's gonna strive or it strives in like a full purple meta, right? If there's a bunch of purple, which is what it seemed like at SCG, there was just a bunch of purple from what I experienced because that's basically all I faced. It's where it strives. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, Donald.
yeah, for sure. I think it's better in a purple world. I think it's a deck that like is always going to be good. I think it's going to be relevant. I think it's the real only like tempo deck left in the meta. And so for anyone that wants to play more of an aggressive kind of tempo style, it's kind of your only option right now. Um, and I just think that like it won't catch people off guard the way it did in Vegas, and I think you have to adapt to like the way other decks are adapting to um, more Iago hate and bigger evasives and things of that nature to stay relevant. So I think it'll be an interesting kind of meta moving forward. I think there'll be some kind of balance by the time we get to Richmond, but everything's going to be kind of shifting from week to week until we get to that balance.
Yeah, I always just think like you got to take that perfect deck for that Richmond tournament, and I think it's gonna be even more prevalent, right? Because every week, like it's gonna just kind of keep doing like that cat and mouse thing. Like, the blue decks are gonna come popular, and then the Webby decks are gonna be coming back, and then the Webby decks come back, then like purple steel and like purple red like rise up again, and then if like purple red and that rise up, then the blue decks kind of come back and take over, right? It's just gonna keep being. So it's just kind of like what week are we on? What alternation of the week are we on Richmond, and did you make the right call,
Yeah,
but
sure.
I am jealous of your story, man, because I was trying to do that with blue green items in set, what is it, 8, set 8.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Sure, yeah.
Oswald.
I was I think we went to the Arizona tournament and I played blue red at the main event, and then the side event I played blue green. I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I ended up topping that event. I think they didn't show the list, so I was not given credit for that. And then I wanted to go, like, I was not gonna go to the event where Dre topped because I had already decided. But then I'm like, dude, I want to go to put this deck on the map. And then sure enough, Zach Bivens played at Worlds, and I was like, oh, someone realized how strong this deck was. Obviously, it's a little different because he had the three deck color combination, but obviously he picked it for a reason, right? He had faith in the deck, so
Yeah, the deck was good. Once it got figured out, it was a very good deck.
that deck was really good.
Deck.
It's probably been my favorite deck so far through all of the Lorcana meta. Like, I've had so much fun with that deck, but yeah, I mean, same thing, like when you said, like, I was telling them, like, I think even on the podcast I said it, like, I think I said the name of the person that I like inspired the list from, but I mean, I just kind of like, I think I saw a list, and then I saw, like, the main thing I saw was like, what is this list playing that I'm not playing? And then I just saw the Radigan's Trap, and I'm like, and the light bulb clicked, and I was like, yeah, this Radigan Trap is broken. So I think in one of my videos I did give credit to that guy, or said, like, I saw it on Inkdex and I stole it from this person. But yeah, I think you got to give credit where credit's due, right? Like, if it's not your idea, at least, say where you got it from. Obviously the whole 60 can be your idea, but if you didn't come up with the Radigan's Trap, or Donald with the Headless Horseman, or whatever, like, or like going more tempo on it, like, you got to give credit where it's due, because it sucks when you just take someone's hard work or whatever. So but anyways,
I feel.
go ahead.
Just on that note, I feel like, I guess people who want a net deck and copy, they just pay more for the deck because the prices go up on the winning deck. So it's kind of balanced that way, right? It evens out.
Kind of, but
The problem is I didn't invest in myself though. That's the problem.
I told you to get the Enchanted of the Horseman, man. They were like $80.
I know.
I know, especially you, that you bling out some decks, dude. What is your problem?
Yeah, it's because I'm not going to Richmond. I'm not going to Richmond, so I didn't feel like I needed to.
Right?
You
Yeah,
need to bling
he's
out your
saving
deck.
it.
Yeah, but
So
we'll wait till the prices come back down.
Yeah. So let's go into some of these lists real quick. We'll just kind of go through it because I know we spent a lot of time talking already. But we will show Donald's list on screen. I guess I should have shown it when he was talking about it, but I was kind of busy moving my kid to his bed.
Oh yeah.
But this is his list in case anyone has not seen it for whatever reason. I mean, you kind of already talked about it. You did put in the one Timothy. We're playing more of the heavy Peter Pan package with the heavy evasive with the Peter Pans, the Genies, the Yagos, and then the Ursulas. A lot of people I've been seeing have not been that big of a fan of the Ursula. I mean, you want to talk about why it's there? Why do you feel like it's really good, or would you kind of go into removing that card with further, like if you were to play at Richmond or something?
Yeah, I actually think I would go heavier on the Ursula, to be honest. Like, I think it was one of the last cards that we added to the deck. You've seen Ethan play my old list where I was playing like Maleficent Dragons.
Yeah.
And the problem was that the meta was shifting away from like Spooky Sight, so you weren't actually getting up to like 8-9 ink that often. And so instead of being able to Maleficent Dragon when someone Prince Philip comboed you, you just rotted in your hand most of the time. And so I wanted to put in something that was a little bit more effective in terms of just ending games. Um, and the Vanessa China just fits that perfectly. It's kind of like Iago in that it's a big evasive that's hard to remove. It doesn't die to Thunderbolt, but then it quests for three. And that's kind of the big thing is that once you get it in play and you've won the evasive war, you just it unless they Hades it, and if they Hades it, you're getting two cards or three cards in your Inkwell because of the boost. It ends games really really fast. Like I won games against Political where I got two Vanessas down and was just questing for like 12. Um, so I think it's one of those cards that instead of playing a Hades that may or may not draw you a card, or may or may not draw you a relevant card, and then only quest for one. This is a card that like will always do what you want it to do, which is win the evasive war and then quest for a bunch. So I would play three sometimes, in some certain metas. I've been testing three this week. I'm not sure if that's the way to go, but I do think that it belongs in the deck, and I think it's kind of fits the role it needs to.
For sure. But
Yeah,
Yeah, I like to think I had a little bit of credit because I remember after Fridays, like blind testing with with this deck, I was like Ursula's good, and we were just running two, and I was like, yeah, Ursula's good. Like I didn't know anything about the meta, and I was like, Ursula's good. It just makes sense in this deck. Like it's just another huge body. Like Donald said, like it just fits the identity, which is to play like a two quester every turn, and you just run over your opponent. I I just reminded me right now. I like the way like Donald's list wins. It's basically building an unstoppable wave, like a tsunami. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, it gets so big, it just runs you over down with the Mona. Yeah, it's a fun list, and I know. I mean, we'll probably go over it, but some people tried to play it, and but I know we're gonna talk about what is this? This is Justin's list.
yeah, so we'll talk about the Blurple list, which Donald, said it earlier. I think he ripped it exactly from the one of the CCQ winners earlier. I think it was
Yeah,
like the
Ying.
week prior or 2 weeks prior. I honestly really liked the Blurple list a lot. Honestly, if I were to play Blurple, I always end up changing a few cards if I do rip one from somewhere, like because the meta changes. But this is a good starting point. Honestly, I like the magical maneuvers. I liked it a lot last set. Um, and I still like the elephants because now more than ever, which I think magical maneuvers is way better this set. You have way more targets that just feel so broken bouncing, right? Like the Hades bouncing that, like it's either you remove their threat or they draw you two cards, right? Like it makes it such an awkward position for you, for them to decide. Plus, when you do that, you also exert one of them, so you got your Hades back. You kill one of their threats already with what else you have on board, and then you Hades the thing. It makes them even more um, what's it called? Makes it more enticing for them to make you draw, which is what majority of the time what you want from this Hades is to draw you the two cards, right? Because you'll have another way to remove that card you want to remove later with the Elsa or something else, right? The Hades and stuff. Obviously, you could keep rebouncing the Hades, the bells. The only thing I would like to see is one more Cheshire Cat, just because like the bounce effects work good with it too. You could boost 3 times and then bounce in. Now you drew 2 cards, 3 cards. But I don't know what I would cut to make that to fit that second Cheshire Cat. But I really like this Purple list. Like
yeah.
I've been talking about it in this podcast. I think Purple's really strong right now, or I think it's still strong. So, and it's like one of the second decks I'm actually considered playing. So, you guys
Yeah, the
got any
maneuvers get
comments?
better. Yeah, the maneuvers get better. I think with more Iagos in the meta. I think Purple Steel probably wants to play Iagos because of Red Purple coming around, and so it gives it more a larger number of attractive targets to hit. And then I agree. I think so. I think a couple of things that both Justin and JDRR have kind of mentioned about this Purple list is that it probably needs a little more early game. And so, they've talked about adding a third Rafiki. And then the second cat, I think, is pretty natural too. Where the cuts come from, it's probably going to be like one of the elephants gets trimmed, and maybe one of the monsters gets trimmed, but I'm not sure. The other thing
I
that
was also
other people,
thinking the mantra
yeah,
cuts.
yeah, and I think the other thing people have been testing online at least is just kind of reverting back to a lot of what people were doing in set 9 in Fabled, and that's just playing TikToks and second star to the right. just to like really overwhelm like all the other purple decks in terms of card advantage. And I think it's still a reasonable approach. Like if you're not expecting any blue green, I think that's a way to go too.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, I think that's a terrible call because, I mean, like you said, unless they're not expecting blue green, because I feel like that's where you make, like, this is the blurple I'm afraid of as a blue green. Like, I see this and, like, I just see them being not afraid at all to play with the 2 card hand because they could just leave this book on the field and draw with it whenever they absolutely need to. The Hades is just like, all right, I have a 2 card hand. I know they're gonna make me draw because they want the effect off of Clarabelle, and they don't want me to remove their 2 creatures that are on board. Let me just slam this Hades. Boom, draw another 2 cards. Like I I feel like if they were to go back to second star, I'd be like, all right, perfect, blue green's free again. Like, but I but like you said, if it's really that call and you just are not expecting blue green, then I would say going second star route would probably be better.
Yeah. I know I was testing the other list. I don't know if we'll show it. The one that won the DLC. If you want to bring that up. So we also had our first best of one DLC on I think it was Saturday in Singapore, and shout out to Jacob, right? Jacob Frank. I think he's part of the Rare Hunters team.
Yeah.
Um, and he won the whole thing, and with this event, this best of one event, which I think is fair. We can maybe talk about our takes on best of one, but before we go there, this list I think could win in the best of three deck too. I've been testing this list on Lorcanito, and I was going like on a like I think 6-1 run or something the other day. It felt really solid. I feel like it's not too different from Ying's list, the one we just saw. This one did cut the Monstro to 2, has
Oh
Rafiki
yeah,
to 3,
it has
Cat to 2.
has all our changes. Has all our
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah, he
Right.
heard it, right?
Yeah.
He listened.
Yeah, he
So
listened. It's literally what we were saying. Yeah, like the main thing I was looking at was cutting the monster because I was thinking I was like, what would I cut to put that extra cat? Because I'm the main change I am thinking about is adding the extra cat. I didn't think about the Rafiki, but it makes sense. I mean, it just makes it. But I feel like if you go that route with the extra cat and the extra Rafiki, you could cut the one jump because at that point you don't feel as bad if you miss the turn 2 ramp because at least you have a turn 3 play now.
yeah,
But I don't know what your take on that would be, Donald, but I feel like
I've never been a big fan of the one jump. I tested it like a lot going into Milwaukee, and I hated seeing it every time I played it because it never came on turn 2, and it always like ended up in my hand on like turn 5 where I didn't want it. So it's not a card that I love to see, but I don't know. It's the way people have gone, and it's okay. Like
yeah,
it improves the math by like 2-3%.
yeah. No, I see what you're saying because there is times where I hate the card, but then there's a lot of times where I'm like, I draw my card and the only turn 2 ramp on my hand is one jump. So then that's where you see the impact, right? You're like, all right, if I didn't have this one jump, I would have missed turn 2 ramp. Like, there's no doubt about it, right? Because
yeah,
that's the only turn 2 ramp in your hand. But
Yeah,
I didn't
and
want
they're
to.
not playing visions. They're not playing visions or develop either. So I think that's also a reason why, having that ninth piece of ramp might be a little bit more meaningful. Whereas before you'd have like 2 to 4, develops to find that turn 2 ramp if you needed it.
100%. Yeah, that's another thing too. I think going this route instead of playing like the develops and the visions again, like in Milwaukee, is the right call. I think just increasing your threat density because we have so many good threats now. We're not playing like a random useless TikTok now, and what other random cards were we playing before? Um,
yeah.
yeah,
And
I just
I'll just
go
say in
ahead.
the best of one, I'm definitely taking that one jump to
Yeah,
the
no,
best of one.
100%. I give this guy mad props. Like this guy has some big, you know, whatever the word is, um, bringing a blue deck because one best of one where you just missed turn to ramp and more than likely your tournament or you just lost. Like
Yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah. I might even
So
go 2-1 jump, honestly, in the best
yeah,
of one.
honestly, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, dude, I would have probably just played the second one jump, dude. Like at this point, like you can't miss turn
Yeah.
to ramp. Like you just can't.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much. Don't want to show too many more decks because I did want to talk about the best of one thing. I will show the first place winner of this CCQ, Blue Steel. I'm still not a fan of this deck. Um, Even if it won, if it starts seeing more play, I'm happy. I'll be more than happy to take a blue green
Like,
list. This is another card I was very controversial about. Spooky Sight. I've always said that card's booty cheeks. But what do you guys think about this blue steel list, or what do you guys think about the or blue steel in the meta?
yeah, well, first I think what's interesting about this list is that it's a 62 card list.
Oh
He
no,
said, yeah, he said I don't need to be a 60 card gamer and just go full 62. And it's funny because I think it reminds me of like the previous format that went like 60 plus or even 50 plus. They were on 4 develop and 4 vision. It's really more I think the develop that's maybe the justifier that allows you to maybe get away
it
with that.
it's both, and it's not only that. It's the Mulan, it's the Namari. You have so much cycle in this deck, and the Cinderella
Yeah.
that it makes sense. But I still think like maximizing the 60 and hitting your nuts of like on the play going Cindy Goliath is so broken. Um, that
Hmm.
is probably better than the 2 extra cards that you're adding. But I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, this is the part where you insert Hector's face because he's like, "Oh, blue still on the map again." The blue steel cult rises and takes this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
I think there's a couple of neat things in this one. The two key deck gives you a little more ramp. The steel, like Pluto Champion, is an interesting card to give you a little more lore burst, deal with the Chromacons and the Dogs decks. Um, the Ink Runner, I think, is an adaptation that Blue Steel decks are doing to take care of some of the purple evasives a little more consistently. But I think it's a deck that is even more inconsistent than Green Blue because it's really reliant on finding its like Goliath or Namari to churn through the deck. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of cards that don't do a whole lot.
Yeah, and it's more Goliath than Namari. Like if you don't see Goliath, but you see Namari, I don't think you're that happy because I mean that Namari is just there to not even net you a card. It's there to just find you your Goliath. I think so. I mean it's pretty rough, but that's why
Oh yeah,
I haven't played Blue Steel this set because I don't know. I just don't like the play style of it at all. I was thinking it was gonna be like I was gonna like it, and then like once I started testing it more, I was like, this feels really bad. So
yeah. I actually saw the final of this tournament. It was the battle of the high rolls, GB versus Blue Steel. Who's gonna out high roll and win it? And game one was actually I think a classic. I recommend watching that game one. It's one if you it's one to watch honestly, and that's one where the headless horsemen shine. And this is not the good headless horseman. This one's the inkable horseman that makes you discard 3 cards at random. But the one matchup is actually good in was the green blue matchup, and that card went off in that matchup. I really don't like that headless horseman. I don't like taking gambles. That's just me. Not when everything's on the line, but it really paid off when it hits, right?
yeah,
And you gotta give credit where it's due. Like he pulled it off, honestly, with that list.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about that best of one. To me, props to everyone that went out there and stuff, but I personally would not. I don't care. I mean, I guess I would care, but I don't care how free the tournament would be. Like, I'm not gonna fly halfway across the country to play a best of one. Um, I saw Goon saying some wild stuff. I don't know if he was rage baiting or whatever, but he was saying like, I actually like the idea of best of one. I'm like, dude, please don't say that. Like, don't, don't say that. Like, I don't think anything good comes from best of one. Um, but I didn't want to talk about it because I like DKP's post. I don't have a way to pull it up, but he made a post on X saying like, since I've went to a bunch of let me see if I can pull it up at least on my phone so I could read it word for word. Um, he said, as someone who played the most DLCs majors, I experienced all kinds of formats and TOs, and I feel like I should give my opinion about the tournament formats. 2 game format DLC was best when we had high power sets like 1 through 4 being on the draw. Felt totally fine if you maximize your deck building and gameplay, and the reward was huge. That's kind of what I've always been saying about the best of two, or the 2 game format. Like at first, I just feel like the further we're getting in like the higher power level in the game, like the more fine the 2 game format felt. And then especially like towards the end, like I had no problems with it at all, and I don't think I ever had a problem with it. But I also agree with like the reset in the power level. I do think them going back to or going to best of threes was correct, which he also says here. Best of threes DLCs is the best right now due to the low power level of the decks. It's much more play draw dependent. So if you want more games to skill gap someone, but his only thing is saying we just need another round of Swiss, either 13 rounds plus top 32, or add another round to top cut, which is 12 rounds plus top 64. And he straight up said best of ones DLCs are a horrible competitive experience, quite thrilling and really fast paced. But I can tell you, I was super lucky to make it through the third place Swiss with the 6-1 score. Not enough skill expression to be shown in a single game. Any best of one DLC supporters probably never experienced paying hundreds, if not over $1,000 to fly to a best of one DLC. TLDR 2 game format before good before rotation, best of three good after rotation, but need more rounds. Best of one no. So I mean, I 100% agree. I would hate to play a DLC that's best of one or any big tournament best of one. I do not see it, at least not for this game. I know some games are best of one. Um, I don't mind either one, honestly, 2 game format or best of three. I just do feel like, and this is my personal opinion, my personal feelings on it. I do feel like the DLCs, um, best of three, just feels like super cutthroat. Like I feel like it's harder to top now. Um, that's just in my opinion. I don't know if that extra round will fix it. I think for sure adding a top 64 cut would make it feel almost the same. Um, I don't know. It's just like I don't know. Some people complain about the like 2 game format and being like, "Oh, I just rather know that if I lose two games or 2 rounds early, then I know I'm out." Like I'd rather feel like I have a chance through the whole tournament. Like with the 2 game format, I like that. Like, oh, I took a loss at round three. I still have like I'm still very hopeful to make top cut. But I don't know what your guys' opinion is on that.
Yeah, I think I'm a boomer in regards to that. I think the more games you play, the less likely you're going to get hit by variance. And so, I played Magic way back when, and it's always been, best of three. I don't feel right, not having a winner at the end of a round. And so and then I never really did that well in a best of two format. So, I personally favor just playing best of threes. I agree. I think best of one, is just rolling a dice and kind of playing a lottery essentially. I think with a lot of these foreign DLCs overseas, you know, the reason you travel is to get a world spot. And if you get a world spot, it's worth it. Get a golden Mickey, it's worth it. And if you're gonna roll for something, that's not a bad thing to roll for. But it's not. I don't think you go to those kind of tournaments for like a good tournament experience. Like I was interested in going to Japan for the Grand Prix until I found out they were their best of ones. I was like, I'm not traveling 12 hours to play 6 hours of Lorcana.
Yeah, it sounds like the biggest gamble, like the biggest like high roll way to play the game. Like as if variance is an issue already. Just put it all on a die roll and then hope you draw the right cards. Like there's so many I was actually watching this live. They the man, I was watching JDZ cast. He had his own thing going on, watching the DLC event and the game. We waited like half an hour between each round, and then watched like 10 minutes of round one, and it was like, and then we waited like half an hour, and then we watched like 10 minutes. It was just so. And like I was watching like Purple Still Mirror. Like, how do you win Purple Still Mirror on the draw in the best of one? It's so hard to win in the best of three. Like, it just comes to like the die roll sometimes in some matchups especially, but yeah, I hope they really never do this again. And I do agree with DKP's statement that like in a like if with the limited card pool, I think that's the main reason with the limited card pool with chapter 1, 2, and 3, and before rotation, best of two works. Now because of rotation, the game is more designed to be more balanced. Best of three seems more fair like than anything else. And I hope all the DLCs will be a best of three moving forward. But um, just trying it out, right? We like to see Ravensburger. They try to experiment. We'll see what hits, see what doesn't, and I hope it's the one doesn't stay for too long. But I do know it's like popular in I think that part of the world, the Asian countries. I think they mentioned that like other like TCGs. I think like One Piece, they do best of ones, and that's like normal out there. But
I think in Asia, I think all of them are best of ones, right? I think that's like their thing. Like I think almost all their card games are best of one.
Really,
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I think outside of Magic, I think it's the only thing that's best of 3 out there. And yeah, I also agree with DKP in that like I think the DLC should have a larger top cut. Um, like I think we had top 64 last year, and the tournament sizes are the same, and so I don't really understand why we just don't cut to 64 again.
Yeah, it's kind
It
of
feels
weird.
pretty bad to like get through the whole day and like not make it to that bracket stage.
Yeah, I know we're kind of spoiled because I know some DLCs don't do that. But how do we go from like how do we go from cutting the top 64 to top 32 and then reducing the pricing and um, I guess they thought because they increased the amount of rounds, but I mean honestly, if their play hub thing ran smoothly, like I feel like we would be finishing tournaments like at a decent time, right? Like there is no need for us to be finishing day one at Milwaukee at like what time did we finish? 11 p.m. Like it was insane. Like um, I think you could still run the 8 rounds and then the 4 rounds. Or yeah, I mean I think it's fine. Just do the 12 and then do top 64 cut. Like I think that would be the best solution. Like it makes it so no
Although
X2 bubble. Yeah.
yeah, although to be fair, they didn't end Milwaukee until midnight on
Oh, there you go.
Sunday.
Yeah, it's even worse. But yeah, I mean let's close it out. For the December events, we have we'd just like to talk about the upcoming events here. So December events, we have the CCS. Is that a CCQ? Do you guys know?
Yeah, it's a CCU. Yep.
in one Atlanta, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
CCS.
Stone Mountain. Yep.
So CCS, CCQ. You didn't put the dates right here, Eddie.
I know that CCS is it this weekend?
This
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah, it's
Okay,
this
so that's
weekend.
fun. At least I'll have
The
something to
6th.
watch this weekend. PPG
Yeah.
Orlando, I think, is December the next weekend, right?
I think it's the following
13,
weekend.
14.
Yeah,
Following weekend.
13, 14.
And then we have Infinity Weekend, the same weekend as PPG, right?
Yeah, same
Yep.
weekend as Orlando.
And then that's all for December. And then, as far as I'm aware of, and then January we obviously got DLC Richmond. So I don't know about you guys, but I will not be going to CCS. I will not be going to PPG. But I will be playing the Infinity Weekend. I will catch me with a blue steel item deck or a blue green item deck. I was cooking up a blue green item deck that I think might be fun to play. If not, I might just play Cindy into Maui Shark. Honestly, that sounds broken. Like going Cindy, Maui Shark, seeing how far I go after that, go ramp to 9, start playing Maleficence. Like, I don't know, like sounds pretty busted to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to. I guess the next thing is Infinity Weekend for us here in SoCal. Um, shout out to Rob. I know he's planning an event on December 12th. I think it's Friday at 7 p.m. at a collectible exchange. I'll probably be there. I don't know what I'm gonna play.
7 p.m. is crazy.
Yeah. And I really I play like every deck, every colors, and I really want to see what new cards can be broken with the old cards, and we'll see what I can figure it out. But I remember the last deck I played in the previous format was GP with the Diablos and shifting Diablos singing friends. I remember that felt really broken, and we'll see what we can do with this Infinity events coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Max Goof and buying back Suddenchills.
There you go.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
Sounds fun. Yeah.
What came from? Wait, was he set? He was last set, right? Max Hoop, or was he this set?
Max Goof last.
Yeah,
last set,
Fabled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like
did Bree still get anything for this set?
Anything new? I mean, some people are playing Webbies. That's like the one thing that you could play. Other than that, like I think that Malicious Mean and Scary is a possible inclusion because if you double sing it off on Ursula, basically grab your sword.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. I'm doing the same thing in blue green items. I'm gonna try Malicious Mean and Scary, cut Under the Sea, play some potion of Malice or whatever, and then just use that as my board wipe, and then bounce Prince Philip with Fishing Rod and gain 2 lore, and then just wipe the board again with the with the Potion of Malice. I don't know. It sounds broken to me. It sounds fun. I'll be bouncing my Prince Philip, gaining 2 lore, and then yeah, I don't know. Sounds fun to me, man. I don't know. We're gonna try it out.
Infinite Reckless.
Infinite, yeah, and then if I don't have the combo, then I just pop my Malice and give everyone Reckless, and then bring it back with Tamato or Magic Carpet or something, bro. I don't know. So I have it in my head, man. It sounds broken. I'm gonna have fun that weekend. I don't know. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off. I know people hate when I play blue green items, so it's gonna be
When's
fun.
TCG's event? I'm sure they're hosting one, right?
I think it's all weekend, right? So I think they're hosting it on that Saturday, probably.
Probably
The
Saturday.
13th.
Cool.
Yeah, the 13th, I think.
Perfect.
Or the 14th, either one. But
Yeah, I think that's why Rob did his on Friday, so it won't get in the way, and it should be fun. We'll
Yeah.
do a little Infinity tour next weekend.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we got. Donald, do you have anything else you want to say before we fully close this out?
No, I just good luck to everyone playing this weekend at CCS. Good luck to everyone playing at the PPG next weekend. If you're gonna hang out in Infinity, come out and have some fun. It's a good promo. It's a cool looking card, and if you need some testing, if you need some advice on red purple, feel free to hit me up.
There you go, man. You gotta start your Metafy.
We've
Hey
been
man, I see you
saying-
putting work, bro. I'm not one to be in the Discords. I honestly am not. I don't be talking in them. I don't even be lurking in there sometimes. Every once in a while I'll go in and check, bro. But anytime I jump in any channel, I see you in there, bro. I don't know how you got time to be in every channel giving everybody advice, but I always be seeing you in there, bro. It's crazy.
I love talking about the game. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really go
There
into
you go.
20 lore. Like, I hear, like, James talk about it. I'm like, let me go see what's going on in here. And then I'll jump into, like, the deck I'm playing. And then you're in there. And then I'll jump into a different core just to see what people are talking about other decks. And then you're in there. And I'm like, dude, is Donald just talking about every deck? What's going on here? I'm like, all right, that's funny.
You gotta know all your enemies. It's like an art of war thing.
No, yeah, I agree.
Right. I do notice that, right? Like in Top Cut, everyone kind of knows each other from, I think, 20 Lore Pro. And for me, it was I honestly I didn't know about the subreddit until Donald showed me. Now I know. So I've been chiming in a little bit here and there, but we'll see. We'll see how much. I'm so hesitant to like not go off like on people. I didn't want to say names because I know these are famous people that are respected, but it's interesting when when you have different opinions, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just honestly, I'm a boomer in that sense. I don't really use Discord like social media. Like, I know that's kind of like how most people use it now. Like, people be in there talking to a bunch of people. Like, I don't really use it for like that. Like, when I'm telling you guys I don't really go into 20 Lore Pro, I like literally mean it. Like, every once in a while, like, I'll maybe chime in like once every 2 weeks or something, and then I'll kind of be mean and I'll just kind of read names I know and then kind of skip everything else, or like kind of skim through everything else. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of good stuff said in there, and then there's a lot of worthless stuff said in there.
A lot of chafe. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So I'm just like, I don't know
like
if
the
it's
memes.
worth. I don't know if it's worth staying in there. I know I'll be making fun of James about his 20 Lore Pro experience all the time, but that's
James,
neither neither here or there. But Eddie, you got anything to add before we take off?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Donald, for joining us today, being our guest. Congratulations to you, and really feel proud of our team, kind of making a noise in Vegas, including Shane topping too, of course, and happy to be back here in the podcast. I've been away for like I think a month now since the last episode I was on here,
Bro,
and
we almost haven't recorded in a month. What are you talking about?
I don't know. That wasn't on me, but
I know.
But it's good times. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving this last weekend. Great time with the family, and just looking forward to more Lorcana, to seeing how this meta continues to develop and unfold as we all get ready for Richmond. Should be good times.
Yeah. So if anyone does watch this, any new viewers, we appreciate it. Hopefully you guys hit that like button and subscribe. Appreciate it, Donald. Sorry we didn't platform you earlier. I know we were trying to set this up since literally like last week. Just things, like I said, life. Life happens sometimes. So
Yeah, no, all good. We had the holidays. Give people like a little break from Lorcana.
Yeah, I know. You're probably one of the few like me. Like, dude, I'll be like play a big tournament like a DLC, and then I'll like on my drive home I'll be playing Lorcana already. Like, I don't quit. Like most of the time I'm just playing. Right now I've stopped playing Lorcana only because I'm watching Attack on Titan for the first time. So I'm like,
Oh my god, bro!
I'm just watching that instead.
That show's so good.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty good.
I'm glad you're. I'm glad
I'm
you're
surprised I
on
put
it.
it off for this long, but
For real.
yeah, that's pretty much all we got. You guys, if you guys, Donald, do you have an X or anything you want to shout out? I know, like I was mentioning him. He's always in 20 Pro. So if you guys ever want to question him on anything, this guy has. I always like talking to Donald about a bunch of decks and getting his take on it. Very smart player, very smart deck builder. So, you have an X or anything you want to shout out?
No, I don't. I just hang out on Discord. I try to keep myself off social media as much as possible. Otherwise, but do hit up Red Saber Games. That's the team that's been supporting me and Nettie, and we're trying to be the premier team of Southern California.
Oh, you guys gotta
look
No
out for
shade,
us.
no shade, Cesar.
you guys got a little fight, man.
That was a good weekend.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for both teams. It's just it sucks.
It was.
We lost. Both me and Adam both lost our top 16 match. It sucked for him too because he kind of got high rolled game 3. Like I was watching his match because I lost early, and I was watching his match and his opponent just had everything too. I'm like, dude, that sucks. Like it's heartbreaking when and he was like clawing back and his opponent just kind of kept top decking everything. I'm like, dude, that's such a heartbreaking moment. But yeah, that's all we got, guys. Happy Thanksgiving or happy late Thanksgiving. Hope you guys all had a good holiday. But thank you guys for tuning in. Keep on cooking and keep on questing. Peace.
Peace out.